Silent winds shake the window pane as I sit and write this tale, blowing my emotions on their lusty rails. Because my fingers touch these keys are the reasons I write today. Because my heart will not stop its swelling in my chest. This tale is about a boy in the woods. He was young and old and could speak and be silent. When he ran, he was swift. In his dreams, he believed. Though he was just a boy, his hands to him were the hands of a man. He would hold them up and feel the earth between his fingers. One day, this boy, whose name was Frog, carved a stone. Frog had found this particular stone in the woods where he was walking by a stream. While walking, he had come across a place where the stream made a small pool near the shore. It was like an arm had bent back in a circular motion, creating a pool. Frog had never seen anything like this before, so naturally he had to get a closer look. There was a large tree on the bank, with heavy roots that tangled themselves, creating a steeply entwined wall all the way down to the pool. A precarious step, I must say. At first, Frog could not see directly down into the pool. All he could see was that the water was on top of the pool was silent. He looked with his eyes and saw colors that formed themselves into trees and sky. His heart exploded at the sight, and his mind reeled. Closer he moved, clutching at the roots to keep him from falling over the side. He looked down into the water. At first he was startled and turned his head against the roots. He had looked straight into a pair of eyes. Never seeing a reflection before, he thought that a stranger lived in the pool. The stranger's eyes burned in his mind. Just for an instant were their eyes latched together, yet such an impression was made on his heart. In that moment, all of his life welled before him, and courage planted its seed in his actions. He looked again over the side. This time he did not take his eyes from the stranger's eyes. He stared at them, then fell in. Deep he tumbled slowly down into a warm liquid embrace. Frog had plunged, without warning, head first straight into the pool. Not being a very deep pool, his head went all the way to the bottom where it struck a stone. Frog, being a good swimmer, and not one to panic, reached down and picked up the stone before ascending. When coming to the top of the water, Frog realized he had either to climb the roots of the tree from which he fell or swim out into the current and get out somewhere downstream. Still holding the stone in one hand, Frog moved over to the wall of roots. Lower down near the water, the roots were green and covered with a slippery slime. Even though there were many places to put a hand or foot, Frog could not get a good enough grip. He tried putting the stone he found into his mouth so he would have the use of two hands, but the stone was too large. At this point, Frog realized he could not go back up the wall of roots with the stone in his hand. He could throw the stone up onto the shore and then try with two free hands, but he still wasn't sure he could make it up. Frog, not wanting to swim out into the swiftly moving current with just one free hand, and not wanting to lose his stone, paddled around the pool trying to find a way out. He thought of the stranger and wondered where he had gone. Surely there was another way out if the stranger was no longer here. Frog looked up at the sun sparkling through the trees above him. The blue sky washed the earth and hinted of the evening to come. Around and around he swam until he came to the spot that he had seen the stranger's face looking up at him. Warm water surrounded his whole body and framed his face in the pool's glassy reflection. Frog looked up to the edge of roots that formed the top of the wall. To his surprise, looking down at him was the face of the stranger. Deep was the gaze that held their eyes together. Frog could feel the distance swallowed up between them, and a feeling came over him he had never felt before. A powerful understanding caressed his heart. Tears rolled from his eyes, and his loneliness was for an instant revealed to him. There in the pool, with the stone in his hand, Frog cried. Deep were his thoughts when his eyes again opened to see the sky fading into dark purple hues. Through his tears, the pallid light sparkled and made stars in his eyes. The stranger had left, but the stone was in his hand. Night spilled over the earth as if all the nights ever seen came together at once. Frog could feel the warm water surrounding his body and hear the swiftly moving current beyond the edge of the pool. Frog's actions preceded his thoughts, and he swam toward the edge of the pool, where the current became stronger. The flow of the water embraced him and slid his body out into the middle of the stream. With his stone securely in his hand, Frog let the water take him. Farther and farther he went down the stream. The moon's silvery glow radiated on the water's surface, shivering with the waves while throwing slippery webs across the trees. At that moment, Frog heard a beast in the woods. Frog had heard many sounds in the woods before, but never one like this. It was a fearsome sound, but somewhat subtle. In fact, he almost did not hear it at all. His whole attention was drawn towards the sound. He listened and tried to hear it again. He could hear the moon's lonely glow and the whisper of his own soul. His heart beat slow rhythms in his chest. Again he heard the sound, but this time it came from the other side of the stream. This must be a very clever beast, Frog thought to himself, and also a very good swimmer. Now Frog had a decision to make. He could either stay in the stream and risk going over a cliff, or climb out and chance a meeting with the beast. Frog was not overly afraid of the woods at night, though he knew he had never stepped in these before. They looked like the woods near his home. The strange sound of the beast made him uneasy, so he climbed out of the water on the other side, where he had heard the sound first. He did not care to meet a strange beast at night in the woods. He also did not care to fall over a cliff in the middle of a stream. Soft mud curled through his toes as he walked up the bank. The quiet of the woods was deafening. Frog had never been so aware of everything around him. The trees hummed magic songs that told of days when they were young. Frog could hear the whirling spray of stars that glide through the sky and feel the path his feet must fly. Deep into the woods he walked. Solitude is a path, he thought, and wisdom a seed. Stars still shined in his eyes, and he laughed. Between his fingers he rubbed the stone, realizing he had never seen it. Why had he picked it up, he thought. The moon had bent low, and the stars were hidden above the tops of many trees. Frog held the stone up in the darkness. He could not see the thing, but for its size it felt very heavy. That may have been why he held on to it for so long. He felt different also, and thought the stone might have had something to do with that. Is there passion in stone, he thought, as he held the thing in his hands. His heart moved him to tears. In the dark of the woods, Frog cried. Falling to the earth, he clawed at the ground and rubbed dirt into his face. Smells filled his nose as he settled his head on some leaves. Then a tense release left him still. It is said that in some woods at night there is magic. It just so happened that this wood that Frog slept in was full of magic. That night his dreams were full of flying and leaping and long dives beneath the sea. A tree spoke to him and told him secrets of how to live a long life. Frog saw into the eye of the tree and felt the will that it took to live 400 years. Something spoke to him, though, through the tree's eye. In his heart he could hear the words, "Live for the sake of it, and love as you live." Frog felt pain because he did not understand what the tree meant. Ask him, as he heard his heart say to himself. What did you mean when you said, "Live for the sake of it, and love as you live"? Look at me, the tree said in a low, timbrous sound. I have stood here in this same spot for 400 years. When you came and slept beneath me, did I strangle you? No, I shared my heart with you, not to mention my lap. Frog understood. Just then, while his peaceful heart was about to sleep, he heard the beast. It held his soul in its icy grip, and fear wrapped its long fingers around him. The beast was so very close, yet seemed at the same time not here at all. With all the will he could muster, Frog spoke to the tree. What is it I hear in the woods? I am frightened. Tree did not answer him, for everything in the whole forest seemed to become quite still. The quietness was like the depths of the ocean or the moon's lonely valleys. Again he heard the beast, and this time he heard words. At first they were unfamiliar to his ears. Then as he listened he could understand the meaning. They told of his life and the dangers he faced, where he would go and when he would die. Frog tried to move, but he could not even begin. His hair stood up, and he shivered frightfully there under the great tree. The beast moved closer, so close he could feel the icy breath of the thing. Though he could not see it, he knew it was almost on top of him. Frog tried to scream, yet his voice was mute. Then an icy grip took hold of his throat, and Frog fell asleep. Echoes of reality spilled into his mind, and swirling colors moved before his eyes. He had visions and dreams and nightmares, and he left the place he called himself. Spinning and whirling, he went across the halls of time, into a tunnel that stretched to the past and out into the eternal dream. He rode the thread of the inner realm and rested again within himself. His ears could hear a faint sort of call. His heart was crying still. When he woke, he found himself in the arms of the tree who gently caressed his brow. The beast was gone, but he could see the thing as if it were a part of his soul. "O tree," he said, "can you tell me what to think? I am frightened still. My heart it beats and my faith it spills, and I am lost to the peace I need. With all the time in the world," said the tree, "I could not explain to you the things you have seen or experienced tonight. You must travel the road and search the things and have faith in your inner light. Believe in all and find the truth. Then one day you shall know. Hold the stone that you grasp in your hand and bring it to your breast. Embed it in your heart and never let it go, for you have found the stone of faith and hope. Hold it in, never let it go. And when you have found your answers, you must carve your life from that stone. Only then will you have truly come home." Blessing.